Today is a U day. We're gonna actually have you practice a couple things today to make sure you have things set up correctly. We're gonna have you practice putting in a couple assignments. So after 10:30 today, you should be kind of a master at your grade book and being able to use a lot of the features. Amanda and I are showing you the features that we use, right? So I do a lot in the grade book with my standards training that I do all over the state. And these are the things that as a teacher, and when I taught my teachers back in the day, these are the things I wanted them to use. There are lots of features. So you can certainly explore more and do more than I show you today, but this is the stuff I think you need to kind of get started. Ask questions, don't be shy. Make sure when you leave the class today, you're feeling comfortable and you're ready to go. As far as Teams go, Teams is very similar to Zoom. We've got some new teachers in the class as well. Teams might be new, but one person speaking at a time. And since I'm kind of the master of ceremonies, I don't really ever stop talking. So it's going to be hard for you to get a word in, but try your best. Use the raise your hand if you need to, and Amanda will bring attention to you, or use the chat. Try to stay muted unless you're talking. And like I said earlier, try to also leave your camera on as much as you can. So yeah, I think it helps with attention as well. Okay, so who are we? My name is Robert Schaefer. I'm Power School Specialist out of the Bismarck office. We started working from home just ahead of COVID because we had a brand new building that didn't get built right, that I don't know how it passed code. So we were sent home because they had to redo that building. Then COVID happened. And since COVID, we haven't fully been back in the office full time. We go in once a week when we can. Like the next few weeks, I'm out training, Amanda's out training, everybody's out training. So we don't really have common days to get in the office. I'll be honest, I miss the office. I enjoy working from home as well, but I miss the office. I miss our people and my people. This is my 9th year with Power School. After 22, 23 years of doing what you do, I was a K1, 2, and 5 classroom teacher for 12 years, most of my years, 7 of them as a first grade teacher in Bismarck. Taught PE as well when I was the principal in Wing, just to free up some prep time for my teachers. My last 10 years was administrator, with my last 6 in Wing, North Dakota, just northeast here of Bismarck. I got 3 boys and a wife, 27, 23, and 17 last year, and Isaiah will graduate this year. And then I don't know what I'm going to do because my kids will be gone. Amanda is with. Man, do you have time to chat, or are you too busy watching the chat?
No, I have time. Amanda Wilson, and I'm not currently sitting on a beach in Costa Rica like my background shows, but I was in February. My husband and I, we live in Mandan, and we've been in Mandan almost 10 years. I've been with this job for now in my 14th year. So before that, I have 10 years of teaching experience, with my last 4 at Williston. So yeah, so now 13 years here, and it flies by. I can't believe it's August.
So Amanda and I have, thanks Amanda, Amanda and I have been doing this together now for, probably 6 or 7 years. COVID year, we started this via Teams, and we've kept it via Teams. I hate teaching via Teams, so just understand that. I much rather be live with people and humans than electronically, but this class seems to benefit our teachers because they don't have to take a day to travel to come to a place for a couple-hour training. It just seems we get a lot more that can just jump in locally. But the hard part is we can't manage learning, right? So you all have to make sure when you're at home and you're taking these couple hours, just give us your best, most attention, because the administration that kind of recommended you come here kind of assume, okay, you got your gradebook training, you should be good to go then. So the assumption is by the time we're done with this in 2 hours, you're able to go to work in your gradebook and move around and manage and put assignments in and take attendance and all that stuff. So make sure you feel comfortable with that by the end of the day, okay? So I have the URL there for you. It is yourschoolname.ps.state.nd.us/teachers/ and then your username and password that you were given by your administration, your PowerSchool people at your school. So we want you certainly to get logged in so you can kind of follow along and work with me as I'm showing you these things. I hope you have sections and you have students enrolled, as the email said. It's necessary for this class. If you don't, you're going to be doing a lot of watching, and then there's no guarantee you know what you're doing when you do get kids enrolled. So that's kind of why we wanted kids enrolled today. So you'd have a chance to ask all those questions and let us help you through any of the problems you're having as you're clicking on stuff today. So to start today, I'm going to show you a couple of admin side things, some setup, some traditional grade calculation, district level stuff, some codes. I'll show you those things on the admin side of PowerSchool. And then we're going to log into PowerTeacher, and we're going to spend time in attendance. Used to be called the backpack. It's now the info card. And we just spend some time on some of the features on the PowerTeacher side of things. And then we'll click on PowerTeacher Pro and get into your actual gradebook. And we'll spend time on setup, working with assignments, copying assignments from year to year, which some of you won't be able to do because this is your first year in, but I'll show you the feature. Drop students, some of the issues with that, final grades, progress, which is not great with traditional grades. It's much better with standards that I'm showing this afternoon. And then we'll show you a few reports as well, okay? And then take any final questions that you guys might have. All right, so now I'm going to share my different screen here. So can you see my PowerSchool? Yes? Okay. So ignore the Skull Vikings. We get a couple Vikings fans on this team, and they do this just to irritate me because I'm a Cowboys fan. We've actually won a couple championships, unlike the Vikings. Okay, so we'll log in. And I'm logging into the admin side of PowerSchool. So mine doesn't look like yours at all yet, but it will shortly. So one of the things you need to understand about PowerSchool is there's 3 portals. Your administrators are doing work in PowerSchool, and this is what their PowerSchool looks like. Your public, which is your students and your parents, log into PowerSchool to see grades and do a lot of other stuff, actually, because they can do some SLDS and STARS stuff and E-Trans stuff and all that on the parent portal side if it's turned on and allowed. And then you have your side, which is your PowerTeacher side, your teacher side of things, okay? I wanted to show you a couple of things that your district has the ability to set up for you. And the first one is called special codes. And I'll show you in the grade book when we get there to scoring grades. But your administration has the ability to create what we call a special codes example that is available for you in your grade book. So if you have a student that needs special grading, instead of creating a special grade scale just for that student, which is possible in PowerSchool and PowerTeacher Pro, they can just come in here and create any codes that they think you need to use. So if you look at my list here, they could be on a pass-fail system, and you could use the passing and the U, the S, incomplete, missing, not handed in, any of these special codes that they think you need for this student. So instead of giving them grades with the ABCD scale that other students get, they can get these special codes attached to your grade scale and scored. Almost all of your grade scales that you guys will see in your grade book all across the state are going to have a codes button available to them. Whether or not your administrators have updated the codes so you can use them. If you have a student that has this need, you'll know. They'll tell you, but I just want you to know what that codes button in your grade book is. It's generated from the special codes grade scale that the administrators have set up and attached to your grade book. The other piece is, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, is administration as of a couple of years ago has the ability to create the traditional grade formula that you all are going to follow. And they can push it out. So if you look at my screen carefully right here, if I click this button, my traditional grade calculation formula comes to your grade book and you can't edit it. You don't have the ability to create your own traditional grade scale. You're following the scale that the whole school's using, which to me is probably best practice. I think all teachers should follow a similar method for calculating their final grades. And the administration has the ability to set this up. So I know we have some teachers in from Bowman, and I think John does this. I think he has a traditional grade calculation formula set up that you all follow and use. So what would that look like? Well, if you look at my 23-24 scale, we're using term weighting for S1 and term weighting for S2. So if I click on the pencil, what does that mean? Well, it means whatever grades you have in quarter one are 50% of the grade, and whatever grades you have in quarter two are the other 50% of the grade to make up your S1 grade. Not complicated, pretty simple. This to me would be best practice. The only thing we'd add, as Amanda would say, is if you have a semester test. If you have a semester test, maybe it's 45% quarter one, 45% quarter two, and then 10% your semester test, right? Because that'd be 90 plus 10 would make your 100%. Most administrators who are a little handier in PowerSchool have set up a calculation method that you can override, that you follow, that all teachers follow. Some of you will be setting up your own method today, and we'll take you through that. So if you see a house when we get to that point, that means you can't edit the scale. If you don't see a house, that means you can edit your own scale and set up your own method. Okay. So in this case, semester one is term weighting, semester two is also term weighting, and it's the same thing, only Q3 and Q4. Okay, so those are two things of note that I wanted to make sure I bring to your attention. If it's not set up, then you have a few more freedoms within your gradebook to do your own thing as teacher, which freedoms means, hey, you could get yourself into trouble too. So be careful how you set yourself up. Okay. All right. So now we're into the gradebook. I'm in the gradebook the same as you. There's a couple of things that I need to point out to you right off the bat. When you came in, if you're in the document on page 2, you got that Welcome to PowerTeacher Pro little video there. You can close that, but it is a good little video to watch. It just kind of shows you a lot of the things PowerSchool put together for you to show you how to click and work on stuff. There's also a help button up in the corner. If you click on that help button, if you forget anything, whatever screen you're on, that help button will help you know where you're at and be able to help you move around the gradebook as well. But like I said, we're recording this, so you'll be able to come back to this video anytime you want. So we'll kind of start on page 3. Page 3 starts us in PowerTeacher Pro. All the stuff I'm showing you right now is not in the document on how to take attendance. We're still on the PowerTeacher side. This is your attendance screen, and there's a lot of things you can do on this screen. So I'll start here, and then once we get in PowerTeacher Pro, you can jump in the document with me. So this is your attendance page. It's the default page when you log into your PowerTeacher. This is where you come. If you teach in multiple schools like I do, you'll click on that school up in the corner and it will show you all the schools that are available to you for you to take attendance. Okay. When you get in your grade book, all your sections are going to be together. You'll have to know which one you're working in. But here you can choose which school you're working in. So for today, I'm going to go to EduTech High School because we're doing traditional grades. And you can see my classes are laid out via period. Okay. I can sort the order, but I don't know why you ever would want to. Period 1, I teach English 1. Period 2, I teach another section of English 1. Period 3, I'm teaching algebra for airplane mechanics. Period 5, English 2. And my favorite class, because my fashion is incredible, as Stephanie pointed out, I teach fashion merchandising, period 6. Okay, so I'll take you through attendance and then I'll take you through some of the other features on this page. So Amanda, I had this question again when I was in class this last couple of weeks about, I think it was your new admin class we had this. What if teachers don't take attendance? Do not be one of those teachers, people. Do not be one of those teachers. There's no reason not to take attendance and forget about it or say, I don't have time, when you absolutely do. So if you have a 55-minute class and you've got a 3 or 4 minute rotation period, can you just have this page open in between classes, and as kids come in, you take attendance? PowerSchool assumes you're present. So it's not like you have to mark everybody present. Everybody's marked present. You have to mark them differently. So for you, it's going to be either absent or tardy. Those are your two options. Okay, so I'm in period 1. Kids are starting to come in to class, and I'm going to click on the Take Attendance button. When I click on the Take Attendance button, there's my list of kids. Right now, they're all there. If they're all there, I click Submit. I'm done. That's it. There's no excuse not to do it. If I have a kid not there today, like Brooke, I just change the code to absent and mark them absent. Boom, done. I can even put a little comment in there if I want to. Missing today, if I want to. I don't know why you'd think you'd have to do that every time somebody's missing, but you certainly can. And maybe Richard Mark came in tardy, and I'll mark him tardy. Okay, and then I just click submit, and then it takes us back to the Power Teacher page and gives us a little green checkbox, which means we're done. So even with talking and showing you some examples, it took all of about 34 seconds. It's no reason for this to be difficult. Okay, so I'll show you one more time. Period 2, click on your little Take Attendance button. Everybody's assumed present. I'm going to change to absent and mark Richard absent and submit. It's just that easy. It's not any harder than that. In the high school, you all need to do this every period. Most middle schools are that way as well. I think all of them in our class are 712, so you guys are treated very similar to a high school. Take attendance the same way. For elementary teachers, you're taking attendance 2 times a day. AM, when they get off the bus or come from home for the first time or off the playground, take attendance. After lunch, we call it a PM attendance. You also take attendance. There's a few schools that do like an 8:30, 10:30, 2 AM attendances, and a 12:30, 2:32 PM attendances. If you do that, your administration will let you know that you do that. Just to, they do 4 counts instead of 2 in the elementary.
Rob, I might have missed it, but did you tell them if everybody's present just to submit?
Yeah, I'll show that again,
Okay.
Amanda. I did say it, but you weren't
Okay.
listening, so I'll show it again. So I'm in
No.
the 3rd hour now.
I was going
Everybody's
through
here.
the list.
Everybody's here. Submit. Done. Okay, there's your green checkbox. Yes, I did, Amanda. Tell them. That's the reason why it frustrates me when administrators say, I got teachers that refuse to take attendance. Well, just fire them and hire a new teacher then, because it couldn't be any easier than this. I mean, come on, what are we waiting for? Go into PowerSchool, make sure you're logged in when the kids come in, and push submit. That's all you got to do. That's how easy this is. Any questions, guys, on the attendance page so far? Okay, couldn't be easier. Now, there's some other features. Go ahead,
Sorry to
Sarah.
interrupt. I just sent a message. It's just not showing up like yours. I didn't want to interrupt you right away.
Okay,
You
so
might-
Sarah,
you
the
have
reason you
classes
don't,
assigned to you?
you see the
Yeah,
classes?
I only see my list of kids when I go to Power Teacher Pro.
Right.
They
But,
haven't, yeah, they haven't enrolled kids yet.
Okay,
Well, the kids might be enrolled, but you don't have school today, Sarah.
that's why it doesn't look.
Yeah,
like it.
Yeah.
so
Okay.
you can't take attendance today.
Right.
I
Darn it.
have school on my test site that you see. We started
Okay.
school back in July because I teach with this page. So I can take attendance today. Today, you see on the top where it says today is, and my bell is an A day. That means I'm active and ready to go. These
Okay.
might be grayed out. You can't click on these yet because you don't
Yeah.
have school yet.
Gotcha.
Your first day of school, you'll be able to take attendance. Can't
Thank you.
practice attendance. Good question. Okay, so over on the left side, there's some other features here as well. I'll be honest with you, I don't spend a lot of time on these features because as a teacher, you're busy doing 10,000 other things. But there are some cool features and want to mess around with them. If your school puts out a daily bulletin, you can click on that in the morning and see what's going on today. A lot of times it'll be what's for lunch and what activities are going on before or after school. So that's a cool little feature. Your schedule will be there, but you have your schedule here, so I don't know why you'd want to see it any other way. There's a bell schedule there as well. I do need to mention the state reporting information. This has to deal with the MISO3s. So one of the things your principals have to do is report what my teachers are teaching and who they're teaching and if they're certified to teach the stuff that they're teaching. So this is that page. As of a couple years ago, if your school does MISO3s through PowerSchool, which is done electronically, not on paper, you can click on that, double check your salary, make sure your license number is correct, make sure they have the right number of experience years for you and your highest degree in there for you, and you can submit that. That helps your principal out with knowing that you're good to go. Okay, so your administrators will take you through this if they're going to have you do it via here, but this is how you get there on this state reporting information page. Okay, the next piece on Power Teacher is what we call this student information card. Oh, I better do lunch counts and seating chart first. Okay, so first thing, let's go back and let's click on seating chart. So for high schools, this kind of matters. So if you click on your first hour seating chart, you should see your kids there. Okay. And you should have the ability to edit and create a layout. So you can see I've created a couple of layouts here from my classes earlier a couple of weeks ago. And I have the ability then to create a new one. Okay, save as new, continue. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go to seating chart design. I'm going to edit and create a new one. Populate should be there. You guys should see that ability. And then you can just move things around. Maybe you're doing traditional rows and you want to put your kids in traditional rows or whatever you want to do with your seating charts here. And it's a really good tool to save and give to subs. I have a lot of teachers that use these and would print these out for when we have a fire drill, an emergency situation, and this is you can check off to make sure you have all your kids. If you have photos loaded into PowerSchool, which most of you do, you're going to see the faces of the students here, which is kind of neat and cool. Okay, so then you just save that, and there's your layout for English 1. And you can go back to Power Teacher and do a seating chart for English 1, period 2. Okay, so it's a nice little feature. Not going to spend a lot of time on it, but you certainly can create your seating charts in PowerSchool. When we were going through COVID, seating charts were very important. We got a lot of tickets and questions about, can you help our teachers set up a seating chart so we know if a student gets COVID, who is sitting next to them? So they wanted their seating charts done. Okay, so your administration will probably ask you to do seating charts or not, or then it's up to you to do that. The next piece is submitting lunch counts. So in most cases, if you do lunch through PowerSchool, you're going to be submitting a lunch count probably for your first hour. You probably won't be submitting a lunch count after that. So again, you'll be told to do this. Sometimes it'll be for today. Sometimes it'll be a lunch count for tomorrow, depending on what your lunch people need to have or how far ahead they need to know. So submitting lunch count is just simple. You just click on the lunch button and you say how many kids are having breakfast. That probably would be for tomorrow. And how many kids are having lunch. And then you probably would put in if you're having lunch or breakfast as well. And then you just submit that. Okay. Pretty simple. The last piece actually has some really cool features, and that is the student information card. So Sarah, if you click on that, you certainly should see kids now. If you click on the student information card. Okay. When you get in here, you're going to see your class list for your class that you have chosen. I have first hour English chosen as my class, so I see my first hour kids. If I click on one of the students, like Mari, this brings up her quick lookup page. So that's something really good to know. Any students enrolled with you, you can see how they're doing in all their classes, not just yours, which is cool. So if they're struggling with you, you can go see if they're struggling with others as well. If they're not struggling with others and just you two need to sit down and figure out the why, right? So that's a neat feature. So when you choose a student, you see their quick lookup page, you see all their classes that they're taking and their current grades in all of their classes. Top right, there's a select screens button. If you open that up, guys, you have a lot of features here, a lot of cool features. If your school uses contacts, you click on the contacts button and it shows you all of their information, who their contacts are. Mom, dad, grandma, emergency, all of that stuff. With addresses and phone numbers, you can print this out for all your kids, keep it in a little binder, or just leave it here and come and look here when you need to find the information. You also have, if you don't use contacts, you use demographics. This is all their demographic information that's been filled in on the admin side. Now, this is my test site. You guys are going to have a whole lot more data than what you see here. But you're going to have all the phone numbers and all the information, birth dates, all that stuff here under your demographics. Jana, go ahead. You have a question?
I know you said that you could access it. Can you access it out of your school building, or is it controlled by your school? If you need to look up contacts, can you look at it at home, and PowerSchool works at home as well?
Yeah. Yep. When you can log in anywhere.
Okay.
Yep. That's one of the benefits of PowerTeacher Pro, PowerTeacher in general. Yeah, you can go to the volleyball game and sit and work on your grades, and you can see that information anywhere. There's nothing, once they're enrolled with you, Jana, we're assuming we trust you with their information and you have their information. Yep, good question.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, any other questions? Okay, another cool screen, I'm not showing them all to you, but I'm showing ones that I know most of you will use, is log entries. Okay, so if you click on log entries, you're going to see all the log entries for that student that have existed over time. Okay, some of these features might be a little different for some of you. I have a plugin that gives me a few more features than what you have. But in most cases, you're going to be able to see most log entries are discipline. So you're going to see discipline issues, but some schools use log entries for celebrations as well. So you're going to see every log entry that's been submitted, and then you have the ability to submit a log entry. Okay, so we have an issue with Mari in class today. Today's the date. This is the time. It is a discipline. Let's say it was an insubordination because I don't like the other choices. Oh my gosh, drugs, fighting, tobacco, or weapons. Those are pretty major. Let's not deal with those on this beautiful Friday. So let's say it's insubordination, and we had a little talking back going on today because Amanda was giving me mouth earlier today already on Friday. So we're going to say Mari argued when asked to begin class today at length. Okay, and then we just submit that. When we submit that, that goes to the administrator. Adds to our list, as you can see, but the administrator in your building decides, is this a worthy log entry to add to Mari's history, right? Sometimes, believe it or not, teachers get a little sensitive and they do log entries way too much for every little thing. And principals then decide, yeah, no, Jana, I'm not going to add that one. You'll just have to deal with that yourself. Okay. But sometimes they're serious enough where we want it to be a part of their behavior history, because then as a principal, we use that. Okay. Yeah, I think you're right, Elaine. I think that's the difference in some of the grade books. Everybody will have a submit log entry button. Not everybody will have the ability to see the history of the log entries.
That's a plug-in.
That's a plug-in. Yep. And some districts don't want you to be able to see all of their history of log entries. So they don't have that plug-in. Some schools, we put the plug-in for them if they want that. Yep. I think that's the right question. Okay. So anyway, those are pretty cool. If your principal wants you to use log entries, they're going to tell you that in your August training class. When you guys get together for August training, if they don't, you might want to make a note and ask them, are we supposed to be submitting log entries to you for behaviors? Okay. Quick look up we talked about. Guys, print a report is kind of cool. If you go to print a report, it gives you the ability to print reports from your gradebook. We honestly don't have a lot of schools doing report cards anymore. It's probably 50-50. Most schools are just helping parents log into the portal and watch grades via a smartphone, right? But if you are printing report cards still, a lot of our schools that are doing that allow you to print report cards from your grade book. Okay. So they'll say 3rd hour, print your report cards, send them home today before we go to Christmas break, whatever. Okay. So that is kind of a cool feature to be able to print report cards from your grade book. Student photos there, term grades are there, teacher comments, if you've made them, it kind of keeps track of them there for you. I don't think there's a lot more that I spend a lot time. View log entries on the bottom. You might have that and you might not have that. That's a similar thing to the log entries up on the top that Elaine said she didn't have. Okay. So any questions on the student screens and on Power Teacher? We went through attendance, we talked about seating chart, lunch counts, and then that student information card that has a lot of good stuff in student screens for you. Any questions on that stuff, guys? Okay, so now we get to the good stuff. Up on the top left is your Power Teacher Pro button. That actually is where you're going to spend 90% of your time. So let's jump in there. And now we'll refer back to the document, page 3, if you have that, and we'll kind of follow the steps of what we do here. So I'll change to Q1 because that's where we are. And we'll talk about a few of these buttons before we get too far. Okay, so the first most important part of your grade book is your sections. Okay, you call it classes. You call it a schedule. We, Power School people, call them sections. Okay, your sections are right here in this middle white bar. So if you click on that to open it up, you're going to see all of your classes for the 23-24 year, or maybe you're only allowed to see your S1 classes right now. Depends on what your administration has opened up for you. A lot of times they want you to just work in your semester, not worry about what's coming in semester 2. Okay, so for me, my whole year is opened up. You can see I'm going to teach in English all year, period 1. I have an S1 and S2 English for period 2. I've got an algebra year-long class, an airplane mechanics year-long, English 2 year-long, and my fashion merchandising classes are an S1 and S2. So there'll be 2 different groups of kids, right? And then you can see I teach elementary too, but that's for this afternoon. Okay, so this is how you select where you're working. Okay, so I'm going to stay in period 1 English, and up on top it tells me I'm working in my period 1 English class. If I want to put grades in for 4th hour, I got to choose 4th hour, and then I'm working in 4th hour. Make sense? Okay, other buttons. This is how you add assignments or categories. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Here's that little help button I was talking to you about earlier. If you want to know where you're at, it'll tell you where you're at and some of the features that go on here. And then there's your initials. It might be a picture. If you have staff pictures in, your picture might be there. Click on that. And for our older people like Amanda, who's about 10 years younger than me, you can go small, medium, or large print here. So there's no excuses that you can't see stuff because you don't have your glasses on. You can change your view to small, medium, and large. I use this feature a lot when I'm entering grades. If I'm mass filling and entering grades really quickly, I'll change the view to small, medium, or large as I need to. So that's a nice feature. It's also where you sign out. So Jana, when you asked me that question about where you're going to work, if I'm working in school in my grade book all day, and then I'm taking it home to go to the volleyball game, and as I'm at the volleyball game, I'm going to do some more work. I'm going to sign out, close my computer or tablet, go to the game, log back in. Don't leave it open for that whole time. It's not saving stuff and calculating then. You got to close it once in a while and reopen it to get it to sync and save stuff. Amanda?
Rob, will you show where you can change it from small to medium to large again?
Yep. So click on your picture or your letters top right, and you go to a small view, a medium view, or a large view. Okay. I spend most of my time as medium, but there is times where I go to small when I want to see the whole class. And there's times when I go to large when I create an assignment for 3 or 4 kids. Then I don't need it small, I need to see it bigger. Okay. So those are all some cool features, and we haven't even gotten into this too far yet. Okay, when you're here, we are in what is called the assignment list. With traditional grades, you may want to spend time on A+ grading, score sheet. This is what you're used to seeing in a grade book because you guys are doing points and percentages. In standards, we don't spend any time in the score sheet, but you may want to. You can score and do a lot of cool stuff here, and I'll show that in a little bit. There's also up by the term in the corner by your initials, there's a little gear, and there's some cool features here on the little gear. One of them that I'll mention right now is recalculate final grades. So when I click on my terms here and open this up, you can see it shows the dates of my terms, shows the dates of your terms. So now you can see, Sarah, what date you start school, and you'll be able to start taking attendance that first day of school, which is what you asked earlier today. You also see when your term wraps up. So for me, October 29th is my last day of quarter 1. That's important to me because if I click on that gear, I'm going to recalculate final grades on October 29th. How come? Because I want them up to date and stored and ready to go from my grade book. Then the administrator can store them finally. Okay? They're going to store them finally, and if you didn't do a recalculation, you're going to assume all your grades are updated, and they might not be, and the wrong grade will pull. Okay, so it's important to remember that little gear, recalculate final grades, and you just tell it, I want to do it for all my classes, and then recalculate, boom, done. And it's going to recalculate everything for you. Jana, when you asked the question about can I work elsewhere? Yes, absolutely. But that's kind of when problems happen with calculation. Every time we click save, we assume it's updating. Every time we enter something, we assume it's updating. But if I'm opening and closing my gradebook and not signing out, it doesn't always recalculate. Amanda?
Elaine had a question. She said, do these options populate under the gear when the term starts? I don't have any options under the gear right now. Right. Your term hasn't started and you don't have any assignments entered. So as soon as you start entering assignments, then you will be able to do a recalculate once you start entering assignments and scores. Yep.
And you also, that's true. That's absolutely right. If you go to assignment list and you go to the gear, you can see my options have changed as well. So just double check, click on your score sheet and go to your gear, and then you might see some of those more of those features. So that's important to know too. Okay, good questions. Okay, so that's kind of the top stuff. If you want to go back and take attendance, you just click on this P up in the corner, and it's going to take you back out of Power Teacher, back to your attendance page. Okay, so that's important to know. Period 1, I take attendance. I jump in the grade book to create an assignment, enter assignment, and I got to go back for period 2 to take attendance. That's how I get back there. Okay, all right, so couple of things I want to start with is on the bottom of page 3, class descriptions. So let's click on settings. When we click on settings, there's class descriptions. Second choice, choose that. Now, each of your classes are listed here, okay? I want you to show you one, I changed my class description. For my elementary classrooms, it just said PM, PM2. I changed the name to second grade behaviors because in my school, we do our behavior standards in the PM section. So for my grade book, I need to know that's my behaviors class. So all I did was open it up, and under custom class name, I typed in a new name, second grade behaviors. You guys can do that with any of these sections. Okay, maybe like for me, I have multiple English sections. How do I remember which kids are in which? I can put English. Mari's in that class. She's my first student. I'm the only one who sees this. So you don't have to worry about, I mean, don't use swear words to remind yourself of what kind of kids you have. You know, that like this is the SHXX class or something. Don't do that stuff. But yeah, you can certainly remind yourself of which group of kids I have. This really is important for like a PE teacher in an elementary school, right? They might have 2 or 3 first grades coming. They want to know which one it is. They'll put teacher last names in here. So then they know they have PE Johnson, PE Wilson, PE Oderman, whatever, okay? So I wanted to show you that. That's kind of cool. And then if you click on settings, we turn our page to the top of page 4, we're going to go to display settings or display preferences. Okay, now in your display settings, when you do settings here, it changes for all of your classes. Whereas in your descriptions that we were in before, you had to do each class. Here, whatever you set and save changes for all the classes, okay? So how do you want it displayed and sorted? I go by period. I don't know why you wouldn't want to go by period, because that's the order you're teaching your kids, but you do have an option. And we're dealing with traditional grades today. So make sure your show traditional grades button is checked, and then you get to choose what you see in your score sheet. So in my score sheet, I see a grade, a percentage, and points. That comes from this display settings. I see a grade, a percentage, and points. You get to choose what you want to see on your score sheet. Okay, so you do that here. For standards usage, Taya, you need to set this up, but we'll do that later in the afternoon class. For the rest of you, if you're not doing standards, you don't need to have any of this set or manage any of that. And then down on the bottom, how do you want your display to be? I just go last name, alphabetical order by last name. But you can do it however you want to. There's other options. Okay, sort students by last name. You can check the button to add newly enrolled students to the bottom. We still have some teachers, I wouldn't say a lot of teachers, that do grades in a book and then transfer them to PowerTeacher Pro because they still believe the computer is going to lose their grades. It's not going to lose your grades. PowerSchool is not ever going to lose your grades. If you think they're lost, Amanda and I can find them for you. We will help you find them. So to me, you don't ever need to have a paper copy. So you don't need to enroll new students to the bottom. And then I would recommend checking hide pre-registered students. Amy, go ahead, question.
Yes, just wondering if you set, if you're setting these for yourself, are you setting it for actually the parents? Are the parents going to see what you're setting, or is that all done by administration?
No, so parents actually, when they create their account, they set their own stuff the way they want to see stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, what you're doing for yourself here is for you in your grade book. Yep, good question.
Amy, what district are you at by chance?
I'm in the Minto Middle High School.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
She's one of those working under Stephanie, I think, Amanda. But she did come in by herself. Good. Okay. Thank you, Amy, for that question. So hide pre-registered students, I would do that. This happens when office gets a phone call and says, I got 3 kids, they're starting after Labor Day. Office enrolls kids, puts them in your class. If I'm Sarah, I don't want them to show up till after Labor Day, because all the assignments I create right now, that student's not getting. So I'm going to hide pre-registered students. I want them to show up their first day of school in my grade book. Okay. And then finally, custom starting page. Guys, mine is set to the assignment list. That's this page where I see all my assignments and I can edit or score my assignments. You guys might want to come into your score sheet because you're doing traditional grades. So you would change that to your score sheet and save. Up to you completely. I recommend assignment list because I love it and I use that page. I'm one click from everything. It's simple. If you choose score sheet, you're going to come in ready to score on that score sheet. And you can't really create new assignments there. You'll have to, well, you can, but it's hard to view and see them. It's harder to view them and see them. Much easier from the assignment list. Okay. Any questions on display settings screen? Okay, last setup thing I'm covering with you then is under settings and traditional grade calculations. This is what I just showed you earlier that your district might be pushing out to you. Okay, if you come in here and you see, let me show my standards because it looks under your class, these little houses right there off to the right, you see that? That means I can't edit this. I can't edit my standards grade calculations because that's set up by the district. The standards rules are set and I just follow the rules. If you come to traditional grade calculations and you have an edit pencil, that means you can edit and create your own calculations. If you don't have a pencil and you have a house, that means you're just following the rules. So now let's talk about this a little bit through terms. What is best practice versus, you can kind of do whatever you want to do, but I highly recommend term weighting for semesters. Most of you are semester-based classes. You take English for semester 1, and then you take English for semester 2. And the goal is to pass both, so you get a full credit. If you pass one and you fail one, at least you get a half a credit. So to me, I would go to my S1, click on my pencil. I would balance my Q1, Q2. The only addition you might make is if you go to term weighting, you might have an E1 here. So you'd balance your Q1, your Q2, 45, 45, and your semester test 10 or something like that. That's
Also, above that, you guys, and this is super important, where it says term weighting at the top, and then over to the right, you see that drop down with exact value earned. That has to stay at exact value earned. Do not do term weighting points there. It will mess up all of your calculations. So
and
that
we
always
get a lot
has
of
to be
tickets on that. Yep.
exact value earned. Yeah.
Thank you, Amanda. Okay, so for me, we don't do semester tests, which again, I think we shouldn't, if you're asking my opinion. My Q1, Q2 is just equally weighted. Doesn't matter how many points I put in each one. They're both going to be 50% of the grade, and I'm going to save that. And you can certainly go into Q1 and you could do category weights or something if you want here. I mean, I can show you how to do that. We're going to do 3 different category weightings, classwork, tests, and projects. And we're going to say tests are going to be 50% of the grade and classwork's 25 and projects are 25. And I'm going to say that. Okay, let's say that. Here's the problem. I actually have 9 categories. I'll show you here in a little bit, not 3. So any assignments I use with any other category is not going to count because I've only set up 3 categories. So if you're going to do category weights, make sure you use all of them because you're not going to remember in a hurry putting grades in. Oh, I didn't use quizzes as a counted category and I did a quiz today, but it's not going to count in the grade because you told it not to. We actually get a lot of tickets on why things aren't working in the grade book, and often it comes back to the fact you did category weights and you didn't use the right categories in your assignments. So nothing's counting. I don't recommend category weights. I just leave Q1, Q2 total points and let my points count and let PowerSchool calculate it up. And I weight my semesters to make sure Q1 and Q2 are balanced. That's it. So if I have 1,200 points in quarter 1 and only 800 points in quarter 2, they're still going to be balanced and worth the same thing. It doesn't matter how many points have each.
Question?
Yeah,
Okay.
on mine, when I hit the year 1 option to edit or expand, it only shows me quarter 1, where on yours you had quarter 1 and 2. Is that because you're considered like a full year already? So quarter 2 started and I only have option to quarter 1.
Jana, what school are you?
Wilton.
Jer, I am going to talk to him. No, there's an issue with your final grade setup.
Okay.
And I'm going to be honest with you, Jana. You're not going to have any Y1 classes.
Okay.
In Wilton, all your enrollments are going to be S1 and S2.
S1 and S2. Okay.
Yeah, which is probably why you don't see all the terms there.
Are you at the high school, Jana?
No, I'm at the middle school. I'm middle school history and science. 6th, 7th, 8th.
Amanda,
Okay.
do some looking there, but I'm guessing
Yeah,
that's,
but yeah,
I'm
but
guessing
they're
that's
they're
why.
still in the high school. They're still at Wilton High School
Right,
technically
7
because
through
they're
12.
6 through 12. But
Yep.
I'll look at final grade setups.
Yep, she'll
Okay.
make sure, but you won't really use Y1, Jana. All your
Okay.
classes are, well, maybe in the middle school you might. There might be some Y1 enrollments, actually.
They are set up. Final grade setups are set up for semester 1 classes and semester 2 classes. There are no year-long classes, so
Okay.
that's why.
So you're good. I mean,
Okay.
they're gonna be enrolled in 8th grade math, S1, and 8th grade math, S2. They're the same class, but they're 2 separate grades. You're in S1 grade and an S2 grade. So you do your Q1, Q2, S1 work.
Yeah.
Q3, Q4, S2 work. So don't worry about that, Jana.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, you might see a Y1 just because that term, we have to have a Y1 term, but all of your sections are S1 and S2. So that's where you'll do
Okay.
all your grading.
So you should be good, Jana.
Thank
Good
you.
questions. Good questions. This is the kind of stuff we want to sort out. But I don't want you to come in.
Elaine has a question
Go
too.
ahead,
Hang
Elaine.
on.
So mine only has Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. No semester 1, semester 2. Is that
you
Are you
normal?
elementary?
elementary?
4 through 6. Yeah.
Yep.
I think.
Yep.
Yep. Elementaries don't do semesters.
Okay.
So Elaine, your kids are enrolled into Math 4 all year.
Right.
You
Like-
should see a Y1 though.
Yes. Sorry. I
Yeah,
do see a Y1.
Yep. So your Q1, your Q2, your Q3, Q4 all tallies up to a final Y1 grade in
Okay.
Math 4. And
That makes sense.
they're enrolled one time for all year. Yep, so that's why you see the different terms. Yep. Okay, good questions. I just don't want you guys to come in as new teachers with your Superman cape thinking, I'm going to create the coolest traditional grade calculations ever. Just don't do that. Just keep it simple. Run total points and term weighting and let PowerSchool calculate you out correctly. And like I said, if your administration sets this up for you, just be thankful because now you're just like everybody else and you're going to calculate out just like everybody else. Okay. All right. Any questions on traditional grade calculation setup? Okay. So once you can see I've got this set up. I've got term weighting on S1, term weighting on S2, total points Q1 through Q4. I'm going to save that. Okay. And then I'm going to go to copy traditional grade calculations in my gear up on the top right because I've only done it for one class. And instead of building it 7 or 8 times, I'm just going to copy this to all my other classes. Okay. So I'm going to go 23, 24 a year. I'm going to choose which classes I'm copying the calculation to. And I'm going to copy it to S1. And I actually can select all my classes here. And then I'm going to validate and it'll copy it to all my classes. Okay, I'm not going to do that because I actually do some different calculations in some of my other classes. But that's how you work through this. Once you build it once, you just copy it to the others. Okay? Questions on copying your traditional grade calculations? Do you need a minute? Should I give you some time to build?
Can you
your
show that
traditional
one more
grade
time?
calculations? You bet. Okay, so Deanna, you can see I built my traditional grade calculations the way I want it. Okay. There's this little gear on the top right. Click on that. Copy traditional grade calculations. What term do I want to copy from? Now, this is a year-long class, but I could just also copy from a semester 1 and or a semester 2. Okay. Which class am I copying from? That's this one. And I want to copy to all my year-long classes. And I select them all. And I just validate. And I think the steps are there. Let's see. on the bottom of page 6, goes up to the top of page 7 in your document.
Robert, I have a question. This is Krista from Hettinger. Our teachers are allowed to do this themselves there, and some of them say that they have done it, but then it reverts back to the default. Why would it do that?
Okay, so if they've done it in past years, Krista, it's gonna, when you come to end of your process and we do an upgrade, it's gonna go back to the default, which is total points. This has got to be done each year. There's no reason it should be defaulting after you set it in current year. Something's not right.
Okay.
So my guess is when a teacher is saying that, my first question is, are you talking about last year's school? Those are two different. If your administration doesn't push this out, you have to reset it up each year. So maybe that's what they're talking about. But if you set it up this year and then you come back in a couple days later and it's not set up, something's not right. We got to know.
And I think even if the admin pushed it out, the admin has to set it up each year, I think.
Yeah. They need to click the button, Amanda, to say that they're doing it. Yes.
Yes.
Yep. So we got to dig into that problem, Krista, a little bit to find out why that's happening. We don't want that happening.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Other questions? Other questions? Okay. All right. So I think we're good. Let me just double check here. My favorite part. Middle of page 5. Setting up categories. Amanda knows I love categories. So let's go A+ grading. And we're going to go to categories under assignments. Okay, so when you click on your categories, you're going to see project, classwork, test, and quiz. You're not going to see all the ones that I have. This is what I talked to you about earlier. If I'm going to use category weighting and I'm going to weight tests differently than I rate classwork, differently than I rate projects, and differently than I weight quizzes, I have to make sure I actually use all the categories correctly each time I create an assignment. Category weighting is cool. I wouldn't say it's effective or best practice. So you certainly can have your categories carry weight. But if you're going to use category weighting and you're only going to set up 2 of them, then hide the other categories and only use 2 categories. Okay? So I'm going to show you how to do that here in a little bit. In standards this afternoon, we use categories a little differently. We use categories to define the kind of activity we do. So when we do something with the student, we assign that category to it so we can tell people, today we did an observation. Today we did a paper and pencil worksheet. Today we did an exit ticket. Okay? You can build any categories you want simply by clicking on this plus sign, category, and you can build a new category and choose any color you want and have it do or say whatever you want. You can put a description in there explaining to you how you're going to use it if you want, and save it. Okay? There's also up in the top right corner a show an active button. Guys, I've built a lot of categories over my years. Okay? But I only use these. These are currently active. Go ahead, Sarah.
Where's the plus sign again?
It's right up in the top by your initials. There's a little plus sign.
Oh, I see it now. Thank you.
Yep, it's well hidden. That's one of the things. You should have seen the old grade book. That sucker was really hidden when teachers tried to create assignments. It's like once we get your eyes there, you're good, but it takes a minute to get your eyes there. Now it's a little bigger at least. Okay, so that's how you create a category. Here's a couple of things I want to talk to you about. You can edit any of these. You see a little house by project, classwork, test, and quiz. That's because the district office created these categories for you. And they pushed them out to you. Everybody has them. That's the default. You don't have to use those. Let's say you don't want to use project. Click on the pencil. Click it inactive, save it, it's gone. Also, when you're in here, if you click on assignment defaults, you can pre-code all your assignments to count a certain number of points. The default in PowerSchool is 10. Every assignment you create will automatically get 10 points. I change all of mine to 0 because I want to set the points on each assignment. My assignments are erratic and different. So I go into all of mine, set them to 0, and I save them, and I do that for all of my categories. They're all set to 0. I want to be in charge of the points. I don't want it to accidentally put 10 in and I click submit, and now I have a 10-point assignment that I didn't want. I make sure I have to deal with points each time. If you always do assignments for 100 points, why wouldn't you set them all to 100 points right now? And it's going to create a 100-point assignment for you every time. Totally up to you how you manage that. Okay. Do we need a minute to set up categories? Does anybody want to play around with this and work with this for a little bit? Or do you want to move forward? Yes, Sarah? Okay. So it's 8:38 or 9:38 and 9:40. I'm picking up. And I'm going to let you play around with categories here a little bit. So if you have questions, we're here to help you as you're building or moving or setting assignment defaults, points on any of your categories. Guys, these little arrows on the left can change the order they appear in your gradebook. So if you want one to be on top and one to be on bottom, move them around. I'll give you a minute.
Maureen, are you talking on the categories?
Um,
Yep, I'll show
yeah.
that, Marie. Yep.
will you review that one more time so we can just see again how we get to the default part? We think we
so-
know, we just want to
yep.
review.
Yep. Back here once. Okay, here's how you do that. So in your category, Maureen, over on the right, there's an edit button. Click on edit. And then your second tab up on the top is assignment defaults. And now you can decide how many points you want it to be, okay? And whatever you set for one, set for all. So you're not trying to remember all my tests are set for 100, my quizzes are set for 50. Just set them to a number that you think you're always going to use. And like I said, for my own mental health, I just set them all at 0. Keeps life simple for me. Okay, so we'll pick back up. I know some of you are probably still working. Just put a bookmark in that, and you can come back to editing and finishing up your categories if you want to. And the steps are all on the middle of page 5, I believe. Yep. All right. So we covered 6 and 7 with traditional grade calculations. Page 9 talks about standards grade stuff. We're not working with that. We're going to move to the bottom of page 9, page 10, and page 11, and we're going to start creating assignments. Okay. A lot of you are in the score sheet view. Okay. And you can see on my score sheet for Q1, I have a lot of assignments. You don't have any. I have a lot of assignments because I copy my assignments from last year. One of the things that's really cool about this gradebook is if you click on your middle white bar with your sections, guys, I can go back to any year I ever taught in my gradebook and go see stuff. It saves everything. That's what I was telling you. You don't need a red grade book to write stuff down anymore and save those somewhere in your storage unit. You don't need to do that anymore. We're storing everything for you forever. Okay. So what I do is I go to last year and I copy all my assignments from last year forward to this year. So my gradebook's ready to go and I'm ready to score assignments in English 1 because I taught it last year. So that's one of the really cool features in the Power Teacher Pro gradebook is if you work through diligently this year, creating really good assignments and you're really organized with it and you want to use those again, you just copy them at the beginning of the year by clicking on that gear, copy assignments. You go back to last year, you go to English 1, you go to this year, you go to English 1, and you select them all, and you copy, and your gradebook's full of assignments. Boom, done. It's simple. The steps are in the doc. A lot of you guys aren't going to use that tool this year. But next fall, you want Rob to remind you how to do this, just pop me an email, and I'll send you the steps.
Maureen,
Okay.
what part did you want him to go through?
Okay, so we always think we're behind, but we actually are smarter than we think. So we caught up.
Okay.
Amanda, here's the problem. It's two sisters in a room talking about Zappos and not paying attention to the grade book. That's what's happening. These two, they've been doing it since 7:45. They were logged in early. They've been talking the whole time. I know how this works. I was a principal. I know how teachers are. Okay. All right. So moving forward now, we're going to show you how to create some assignments and score assignments. Now, scoring assignments is simple, you guys. Once your assignment is created, for example, I have this assignment right here called sentence production. It's a classwork assignment. When I click in there, it shows me it's worth 90 points up on the top right here. See that? Shows me 90 points. Sentence production, 90 points. It's an August 31st assignment. I can click edit assignment to go edit it, or I can show more. And if I show more, it shows me the grade scale that is attached to this assignment. Now you guys don't have this yet, but I want to show this real quick. The score sheet is super cool because with my 10 kids here, I can simply score. If everybody got a 90 and save, boom, I'm done. Now that doesn't happen very often, but let's say 8 out of 10 did, then I can go back to this one and score it an 88 and this one and score it an 80 and save again. That quick fill's pretty cool. The score sheet page is cool because you can score right here. It's click, slick, and easy, right? And all my assignments, as you can see, are here because I have mine built already. You don't. So if you don't have assignments built, I say, let's start at assignment list and imagine not seeing anything here. And you're going to click the plus sign, click assignment, and we'll call this August 11 practice number 1. Okay. Sarah. You're muted, kid. Unmute. Try it again. Go ahead.
Okay, the power was out. Sorry about that, but I'm back
Okay,
now.
you're back. I missed you. Welcome back. Okay. Well, start again so Sarah can see where we're at. Discard changes. We're creating a new assignment. I just showed how to score quickly in the score sheet. I'll show that again, Sarah. But we're going to go to our A+ grading, assignment list. Click on the plus sign on the top right, assignment. And we'll call this August 11 practice number 1. Go ahead and build one with me. Doesn't hurt a thing. If you don't use it, you're going to delete it. No big deal. Must select a category, so we'll call this classwork. My category assigns 0 points. I'm going to change that to 50. Click on the Students tab. In PowerSchool, guys, certain kids can get an assignment and not everybody needs to get it. Most assignments you create will be for all kids, but you can take assignments out for some kids. Taylor's not doing this assignment, Michaela's not doing this assignment, and neither is Seth. They're not doing this assignment. So I'm selecting the 7 kids that get this assignment. The other 3 don't even see it. And then click on the Publish tab immediately as created. And then save. But let's review. Go back to assignment, name, category, how many points, which students get the assignment under the Students tab, publish, and then save and close. And it automatically brings me to score it. So I'm going to do that. When I get there, you can see I have the assignment I just created for the 7 kids that get it. I'm ready to score. We already sat down and collected the work, and they have their 50 points collected. All I have to do is click in the first name. When I click in the first name, my score pad over on the right comes in. It's a touch screen if you have a touch screen. It's
Hey,
super
Robert?
cool. Yes, Maureen.
We don't have that filter choice where when we get to the students list, we have assignment applies to all students. We don't have that option to filter out.
Yes, you do.
students. How do we do it?
Okay, so it says show selected right here.
Oh,
See that? Right
got
next to it, it says show all.
okay, never mind.
Yeah, we made it the same way for you as we did for everybody else. Imagine that. Okay, save and close. Okay, so now we're going to get into the grade book and we're going to score. Click on that first student. It pulls up your score tablet over on the right. Everything about the assignment is up on the top. Okay, it's showing you it's worth 50 points. It's today's assignment. Maureen, here's where I can go back and edit. There's this little edit assignment well hidden there. If I want to, hey, I'm not happy with the assignment, I forgot a kid, I can go edit assignment and add another kid before I score. Okay, so I'm ready to score Mari. In the score tablet, this is some cool things. Here's those codes I was talking to you about at the beginning that your district can push out to you. If it's a special education student that gets pass fail, I'm going to use a code and put pass fail in there. Also, I can say Mari's grade is missing today. Brooks was late and Richards is incomplete. We got all those little assignment codes that you can put on there. The only one you should never use is exempt. If they're exempt from the assignment, you're not going to give it to them. You're going to take them out of the class list. They don't get the assignment. There's no reason to use exempt. Okay. Now, over on the right here is the quick fill down or the quick fill sideways. You wouldn't use quick fill sideways in traditional grades, but you would in standards. But there's often when I do an assignment for 50 points, everybody gets the 50. I just score the first kid and I downfill the 50. Boom, I'm done, save. So use that to your advantage to help you score assignments. Now let's go back and score. I just go 47 and enter, 45 and enter, 44 and enter, 38 and enter, 50 and enter, 44 and enter, and 47 and save. I just scored that assignment. Okay, it's that simple, it's that easy. Now when I go back to the assignment list, I want you to see that assignment, August 11, practice 1, shows it's been scored 7 out of 7 with a checkbox. It shows you on your assignment list which assignments have been scored and which ones have not. If you look at this screen, you can see 3 of the 5 assignments have been scored because they have a green checkbox. Okay. And only 3 of the 10 on the Andrew Jackson, so I could go back to that one and I could finish scoring these. Okay, Cool. All right, so now let's go look at score sheet again and see where that assignment fits in. Here it is. It's scored. The cool thing about the score sheet now is you can see Taylor, Michaela, and Seth have little gray lines on theirs because they did not get that assignment. It's grayed out for them. Only the other 7 did. Okay, but you can create assignments for your week, come to your score sheet, score them when you do them. That'd be a good practice. What assignments am I doing this week? Create them. Get them all into your grade book. Going into Monday, and then come into your grade book while you do them in the score sheet and just score them quickly. Here you can also add comments. You can add any of these special categories. Guys, the thing about comments, so let's go to this one. Call got a 38 out of 50. I'm going to put a comment on this assignment. Notice I didn't go down to the bottom and put the comment. I clicked the bubble up on the top right by my initials. That works 100% of the time. If I click on the bottom comment, sometimes it doesn't save it. I don't know why, but I'm telling you, if you want to make sure it works 100%, click on the bubble in the top right. So I can say call will have a chance to fix a couple mistakes on this assignment tomorrow and save. And now his parents get that comment, as does he when he goes and looks in his grade book.
Really?
Okay, questions? Okay. Any questions on how to create an assignment? I want you to do one assignment for 2 classes. Now, if you don't have kids enrolled, you can't. And remember, your date will be your first day of school. When you create your assignment, you'll use your first day of school as your date. And then you can delete it, or you can create an assignment you actually know you're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to create an assignment for 2 classes.
Robert, is there like a practice section? I don't have any students in my section. It would be nice to play.
Yeah, no, there isn't, Amy. So what you're going to do is at the end, you're going to make sure you jot down my email, Amanda's email.
Okay,
And
Okay.
when you get kids enrolled,
sure.
we can jump on Teams with you again and just make sure you're good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
I'm having trouble getting it to fill the same score for everyone.
Okay. Go to one of mine here. All right, so let's do this group short story. Okay, so ignore columns 2, 3, and 4 here, but this is a 50-point assignment that I have, Sarah. If I put the 50 in, I should be able to use that quick fill button down. Now, if I typed something in previously, it won't let me quick fill.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's going to make you override. It's seeing it as, oh, you already had something in here. I can't mass fill override. So
Okay.
you got to do it kind of right at the beginning.
Rob, I don't remember this, but Ashley asked when filling out a description for the assignment, do the parents and students see that on their end? I don't remember.
Nope, that's for you
Oh,
only.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's why I said you still don't need to use swear words, Ashley, though. Just be professional best you can. No, they don't. Whatever you do in those settings in your grade book, that's for you. It's you change the order of things or change any of your class names to something different. No, that's just for you. You're welcome. Okay. Any questions with creating an assignment? Now, I don't know if I need to say this, but I'm going to say it. Make sure you click save. Okay? Make sure you click save when you did all this work and you scored assignments. Do the same thing when in your score sheet. If I go into a score sheet and I'm changing assignments here and I'm scoring kids, I got to click save. Okay? Make sure you do that. Did you notice when I scored here, down on the bottom right corner, there's a preview grades button? Amanda, this is exactly what I teach in standards that we shouldn't do anymore. Teachers like to manipulate grades to make sure the final grade is what they want it to be for kids. So you can put this 89 and I can click that preview grades and it's going to show me what his grade is going to change to before I save it. So he's going to change from a 93 to a 92. So I'm going to save it and it'll go to that now. I mean, that's just the true thing that teachers are just worried about what those final grades are, right? You can even see what the grade's going to be as you put them in before you save them to see how it's going to impact that final grade. Okay, Sarah, do you have another question?
Yeah, when I try to click save, it gives me the circle with the cross over it, like I can't click it.
Okay, did you set it for the first day of school, Sarah, when you created that assignment?
Oh, yeah. That'd
You
be
did?
why, huh?
Okay, yeah. You can't save a current day assignment. You'd have to set that date to be the first day of school.
Today. Or-
Yeah.
Okay.
What is your first day with kids? That's what you're going to want to set it to.
And then when that day comes, it would let me save it.
I think you
Mhm.
should be able to create it and save it today. If you create
For future date, you should be
If
able
you
to.
create it for the first day of school, you should be able to save it today.
No,
Still not letting you? Okay. I thought you could do that, Amanda, in the past. Maybe it's not letting you do that this year.
that's okay.
Okay. But you get the idea, right? You feel comfortable with being able to create an assignment, right? Anybody not feeling comfortable that needs to see it again?
Robert, I have a question. This is Krista from Hettinger again. Going off of Ashley's comment there, when they fill out the description for the assignment when you're creating it, I will have math teachers that'll put in exactly like page 37, numbers 1 through 11 odd. The students cannot see that, nor the parents.
Oh, you're talking the assignment description?
Yes.
Yeah, they're going to see the assignment name. Yes. I thought she was talking about the description of her class, what she calls her class.
So
No.
can you show that again? Would you create an assignment and show us where the description is that both the parents and the students will see?
Okay, I think I'm with you now finally. No, you're not going to see the description. I was right in the first place. Yes, I'll create another assignment. Okay. When you create an assignment, you're talking down here, down in the bottom.
Yes.
Yes, students can see this.
And the
Parents can
parents
actually
as-
see this, yes. There's
Okay.
a show more button when the parent comes in to click on an assignment. So they can learn more about the assignment. Yes. They can see that.
Perfect.
Krista, yes, they can.
I just didn't want to make
Yep.
sure that my math teachers are
Mhm.
wasting their time.
Yep, Ashley, that was your question earlier. Within the assignment, yes, they can see the description. Yep, a lot of teachers put their rubric in here. Right? The rubric for this writing assignment looks like this, and they put it right in there. So then they can see why they got 85 out of 100 instead of 96 or whatever. Okay? Yes, they do see that.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Yep, they have to click a little bit in the assignment to be able to see it. But then they can see it. Yep. And some, believe it or not, parents really do a lot of that snooping. Okay? Any other questions with assignments, guys? Okay. So moving forward in the document then, on page 15, we talked about entering scores already. On page 16 and 17, we talked about all the different flags or icons and how you can use those. Filling scores for multiple students on assignments. Bottom of page 17, we showed you how to mass fill and to copy it down. Adding comments, I showed you already. Marking assignments on page 19, I also showed you. Transfer student assignment scores to a different class. I'm not going to demonstrate and show you. If you have a student who moves from period 1 to period 3 and you want his scores to follow him, you're going to let us know. You're going to go talk to your PowerSchool person locally and see if they can help you transfer the scores to a different class. The steps are there for you on page 20, or you're going to let us help you. It takes a little bit and it's a little complicated. I'm not going to try to show that to you today. Okay. On page 21, we showed you how to, those are the steps to show you how to do that. And then working with final grades on the bottom of page 23. So let's talk about that a little bit. So if I go to my score sheet and I'm going to score Angelica here with a 50 on this assignment, and I'm going to save that. And that changes her grade now to an 82, a C. And I'm feeling like she's better than that. And I'm going to override this grade, which is against everything I believe about grading that we should ever do this. But you have the ability to do that. So if I click on it, over in my score pad, I can change the grade to a B. Okay. And save. And it shows B and 82%. And I mean, you better get a call from your principal and say, Nicole, how come in your class a B is an 82%? How'd that happen? You should get that phone call by your principal who's paying attention. Now, if you don't, your parents probably going to ask you, or your kid's probably going to ask you. Over in the score pad, there is a little rewind button. You see that? I can change it back to what it's supposed to be. No problem. But you as teacher always have the ability to override final grade. Okay. If you override a final grade, you better click on that gear and recalculate final grades then, because the system won't do that. It won't accept your final grade unless you recalculate, even though you saved. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. So make sure you recalculate and it's all updated with what you want it to be. Okay. So that's kind of how you manage that and how you override final grades. And the last little piece then, before we look at reports, is progress, traditional. Here, if I have marked throughout a term, kids missing assignments or kids who have late assignments, it pulls them up for me. Okay, I can see Brooke has 1 late, and Angelica has 1 late, and Richard has a tardy, and Richard has an incomplete. And I actually can run a report to find out which assignments they are. Okay, so if you're kind of diligent on this stuff, instead of waiting for week 9, you could do this after week 4. Do it again after week 6. Do it again week 8 to 9 to make sure kids have everything in before grades are stored at the end of quarter 1. And do it again throughout quarter 2 for the end of the semester, just to help kids out. Okay, so that was again progress, traditional, and it shows you how you've coded. These are the only codes I've used: missing, late, and incomplete. And you certainly can find out who those kids are. Okay, what happens if I go view all? Oh, it shows me right there. Okay, shows you what their grade is for the semester. All right, so that's kind of cool.
Sarah,
Okay.
did you have another question?
Her shoulder's getting tired, Amanda.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted
Okay.
to double check.
It's okay,
Thank
Sarah.
you.
That's okay. I like picking up people. Okay. Now, analyzing performance, that's all standards based, and we'll show that stuff this afternoon for those of you that are coming back for the standards class. Now we're talking about reports. Guys, there's some cool reports in here, okay? Over on your reports tab, I mean, basically, if you want to know something about your kids, come build a report for it and just play around with this a little bit. You don't always have to run to the office to find stuff out about whatever information they have on the kid, you have available to you. You just got to go find it. So let's start with the individual student report. So if I click reports, individual student report, which classes do I want to build it for? I can do it for all my classes, or I can do them one at a time. Which layout do I want? By section, by student, last name? How do I want the assignments? By newest first or by oldest first? You can do however you want, okay? Which data do I want included? Percentages, assignments with no data. I don't want standards for this class. I don't need student number or name. What's the date range? What term do I want? I'm only looking for Q1 right now. And I'm looking for any assignment, any score, any category, any course grades, and I'm going to run that report. And then you can see it comes out in my report queue right here, report queue. And there's my individual student report. So I'm going to double click on it. And
This
there it
was
opens
my
up.
favorite report to run as a teacher, especially for midterms or conferences. Love this report.
Yep. So you get all the information from your assignments on your kids in this report. Now mine's a little different than yours because I've got some standards attached to in my assignments. You guys wouldn't. Okay. Yours would look just like this with the assignment scores. Here's the points possible. Here's the points they got. Here's the grade they got. In reality, you can print this and give it to the kid and say, this is where you're at. So they know in one quick page. And it's going to be a one pager for you with the assignment, with the name of the student on the top with the assignment scores, and boom, there it is. Okay, so that's kind of a cool report.
Robert, will this report show the missing, late, all that stuff?
I don't think that report shows that. I think you're going to run the missing assignment report right here for that.
If they use the flags, there is a column on the right-hand side. I think that if they mark it as missing, it might have the missing flag, but I don't think it pulls the comments.
And then the hard part is, of course, in our gradebook we have colors, and a lot of times when you print this stuff, you don't. So that makes it harder too. So just keep that in mind. Missing assignment report, similar thing. Select which class you're going to do it for. Student name, which flags are you looking for, and what are you looking for in the assignments? Run the report. Go to your report queue, missing assignment report, and here it shows. Here's the assignments. Here's who's missing. And it kind of marks them as you go through this. Now I got so many assignments, guys, it's just kind of going to be hard to read. Let's see if we can go to the one we created today. Let's see. No, I don't even see that one. So, but for you guys, it'll be slick and easy and clean to read. Okay. If you mark that stuff diligently as you do it, Krista.
The thing
Okay.
with these reports is they are programmed into PowerSchool, so we can't go in and edit them or anything. They kind of are what they are.
But like I said, play around with them. Okay.
Right, for sure.
Your student roster is super cool. So if you click student roster, select your classes, and I'll just do one class. Last name, add columns. So what else do you want in here? You want student birthdays in there? Let's put it in there. Do you want grade level in there or home phone? Okay. So I can create a class roster. I'm going to get the name of the kid, their birthday, and their home phone. I'm going to run the report. It's just like a spreadsheet, right? So I go to report queue, student roster report. I can build a report full of demographic information on my student roster. And you can have a student roster right there for subs or for whoever with all kinds of information that you want in there. And remember, if you use student contacts, that's information will be in there as well. Whatever you want to pull into your spreadsheet student roster report, that's all it is. So you got some really cool features in here with these reports. I'm not going to go through them all. Score sheet report is super cool too. You'll like that one. Mess around with your score sheet report, but just take some time before school starts, since you got kids enrolled in your classes, and run some of these reports and see what you like and see what you got. Okay, because I do think they're going to be helpful for you. Most people in today's world don't print a lot of paper, and they do most of this stuff just electronically, but you might want to when you have conversations with kids and where they're at with their grades. Okay, or that student roster sheet I certainly would use for my emergency binder or emergency bucket. I'd create a student roster that I have with me for that. Okay, any questions, Amanda? Any additions on the reports that you think I should show?
No, they're pretty straightforward. Just kind of got to go in and play around with them. I mean, you won't
Yep.
break them, so.
Nope. I mean, if you run it and you don't like it, go back to it and try to build it again. Yep, and just kind of mess around with it. You guys are all capable of doing that. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm at for today. Are there any questions on creating assignments, working with your categories, taking attendance, anything we covered that you think you would like me to show you again? Go ahead, Sarah.
Of course, I have a question. I'm wondering if we can change the order that classes are listed in. I guess I gotta ask my principal if we have to stick to the schedule. It's for elementary. The schedule that is on here, but if I want
Nope.
to teach language arts only in the morning, if I'd like it to
Yep.
show up that way.
Yep,
No.
so go to settings and display settings. You can change them by these three options, Sarah. And that's really, I mean, you can't set up your gradebook the way you want it exactly, but you can set it by period. And they're listed in period by the administration period order. So in high
And-
school and middle school, they're going to be period 1 through period 9 or 10 or whatever. In the elementary, most times they're in order of how they were built. So your AM, PM are going to be first, and then you're going to have reading and math, and that's the order they're going to come in. The schedule
Okay.
you see in the elementary is not the schedule, meaning you have to teach the classes in that order. It's just the order that the periods fall in on the admin side of Power School. It's not telling you
they're-
this is what you teach. Go ahead, Amanda.
And because they put them in like placeholder periods like EN or MA or whatever, I think those do like alphabetical order. They can reorder them, but then it reorders them for everybody.
For everybody,
So
yeah. It doesn't mean that's the order you teach this stuff in the elementary.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that. If you're in my elementary teacher, I'd tell you how to teach your classes in what order. I'd give you your schedule in a little beautiful colored piece of paper, and I'd say, Sarah, you're teaching the ELA first, and then you're teaching math next. And some principals do that, and some principals let you create your own schedules in the elementary, and it has nothing to do with how you see it in Power Teacher Pro. You can
Okay.
teach whatever order you want in most cases. Okay, other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
going to that period thing, if we have so we have periods 1, 2 through 7, and then there's something called homeroom, and then that alphabetizes it and throws it at the bottom, and 0 period literally says 0 with a Z, and that goes to the bottom. Is there a way the admin side can rearrange that so it goes in the order it's supposed to and it shows up on everybody's screen like that?
Yeah, there is. So here's how that happened, Krista. So your first 8 periods were built in order, the way you see them. Then they decided, oh, we need this homeroom period. It was built 9th, even though it's before school. Okay, it was built 9th, so Power School sees it as the 9th period. And then that 0 hour was created 10th. Power School sees that as the 10th period. Yes, there's a way you can rearrange your periods so they show correctly. That yes, you can talk to them about doing that. And Krista, what school are you?
I'm in Hettinger.
Yeah, I can certainly work with Hettinger to do that if they think they that they want to do that. Yep, you can just show them, this is what it looks like in my grade book. Is this how you want it to look? You know, ask them that way and just see what they say. Yeah, you can rearrange those periods so they show up correctly in order.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Nicole?
I was just trying to create another category.
Yep.
And when I'm doing it, when I tried to create it, it keeps telling me there's a validation error.
Okay. So
I don't know what it
walk me
is.
through what you're doing. I'll do
Okay,
it.
so I'm
as you do it.
going into the plus sign
Okay.
and category.
Yep.
And then select classes. And then the
Don't-
name, I just want to do quiz.
You don't need to select classes.
Okay,
Don't do that.
Okay.
Okay.
all right.
Quiz?
So I did not select it one time, and then I just typed in quiz.
Okay.
I left it as blue, and I
Okay.
don't have any other ones that are blue right now.
Look what mine says.
Okay.
I guarantee you already have a quiz there.
I-
And
I
I'll show you
only-
where. Okay.
Okay. Please
Quiz
do.
would have been pushed out from the district office. Click on your show inactives here on the right.
I did, and I only have 3 things. I don't have any inactives. I just have my 3 that I've created, and there's no inactives underneath it.
I can't imagine you quiz is that's what's happening, Nicole. Quiz is created from the district office category. What school
Okay.
are you?
Henninger.
Also Hettinger.
Yes.
I'm sure it's seeing that there's already a category quiz created, which is why it's
Uh-huh.
erroring out.
Okay,
Okay.
because when I go into, let's see, you wanted me to go, well, okay, so I'm in categories right now.
Are you
and
at the
I
high
only
school?
Yes.
Okay.
And I only have 3, and none of them have that icon next to it. This is district created category. And then when I show inactive, I have nothing more, just the 3.
We're looking for Nicole as well, in the high school end, because she teaches high school. So we're wondering if categories weren't created for the high school, but I think they were. We're checking.
Stop it, because I'm doing it. I got you covered. Somebody took the categories out of the high school. Okay, so when you log out and log back in, Nicole and Krista, you're going to see classwork, project, quiz, and test. Classwork will be blue, project will be purple, quiz will be tan, test will be red, and they'll be in that order when you come
Okay.
back in. But that's why I wouldn't let you create, because in the system, there's already been one created.
Okay.
Somebody messed around with that. I'm going to blame Kyla. I'll call her and chew her out later. Or Kira Henderson. That's who it was. Kira. Yeah. Okay.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? Okay. Guys, thanks for a great morning. I told you we'd try to kick you out of here by 10:30. For further reference, this video will be uploaded to our EduTech YouTube page. So if you just go to YouTube and you type in EduTech of North Dakota or type in my name, you'll see a Power Teacher Pro gradebook training for traditional grades 2023. This session will be uploaded, okay? And it'll be there for you with a nice little introduction page, and then it'll just have this session. So you have any questions, you just let Amanda and I know. My email is right here on the bottom of the screen here for you if you need that. Process for teachers in Power School is kind of this way in North Dakota. All of our schools use Power School. So Amanda and I kind of serve 10,000 to about 12,000 teachers in the state of North Dakota. So we certainly don't want 10,000 emails from all the teachers in North Dakota coming into our inbox. So your process would be go to your Power Teacher person in your district who's supposed to be that expert and see if they can help you. Amanda says this all the time. When she had questions as a teacher, she'd go to another teacher she knew was really good at it and ask that teacher, and that teacher would support. And if you feel like you're not getting the answer then that you want, just pop me an email and I'll help out and support in any way that I can. Okay. So that's what we have today. If there aren't any more questions, can't believe it, but for some schools, school starts next week. Welcome back. Enjoy your school year. Hope it's a great one for everybody. Thank you. Happy Friday.